What's up, everyone? NFL is back. We're recording this on a Saturday. So the Texans and the Chiefs have already played on Thursday night. So we've got the rest of the games tomorrow. I want to talk about my fantasy football teams, particularly my money league teams. I'm in 8 different leagues this year on Yahoo. I had 8 teams last year. 2 of them are for money, and the rest are just for fun. The other 6, they're just in Yahoo public leagues, so no money involved, low stakes. But I'm a pretty competitive person, so obviously I want to win. But particularly in the money leagues, I want to do well, and so I'm just going to go over my teams and my draft strategy, and how I felt about the draft so far. So this is my first team. It's through Subtle Asians Bay Area. We have a little Saba league, and it is it's through Yahoo, and looks like it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 12 teams in this league. It's a PPR league, and we have kind of an interesting setup because there's quarterback, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 tight end, 2 flexes, a kicker, and a defense. So I think normally on a standard Yahoo league, I believe it's only 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 tight end, and 1 flex, along with a kicker and a defense and a quarterback. So there's 1 additional wide receiver in this league and 1 additional flex. So that kind of, I don't know if that changes your draft strategy, but I think this is the first time I've played with that many flexes, or just 1 additional flex. And obviously, the projected points are off the charts because everyone's projected to get 150 points. And, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like the more flexes you have in play, you're kind of leaving it down to like a low tier player to get you those points. So, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but I don't know. So starting off in this league, my quarterback is Carson Wentz. My 3 starting wide receivers are DJ Chark, Robert Woods, Kenny Galladay. My starting running backs are Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones. My starting tight end is Hayden Hurst. And the rest of my team, including the flexes, are Henry Ruggs III, James White, Chris Thompson, Christian Kirk. My backup QB is Ryan Tannehill. I have Irv Smith Jr., Kendrick Bourne, and my kicker is Robbie Gould, and my defense is Buffalo. So, I like my team. Let's go through the draft that I had, and I'll just share my thoughts as we go along. So my first, I was second pick in this draft, so that's the Saquon Barkley spot. Obviously, the first pick went to Christian McCaffrey. That's a no-brainer. I was the second pick. I got Saquon Barkley. So I drafted him second. I drafted him first, and then I didn't get to pick anyone all the way until the end of the second round, which I got Kenny Galladay. My third pick was Aaron Jones. Fourth pick, DJ Chark. Fifth pick, Robert Woods. Sixth pick, James White. Seventh pick, Carson Wentz. Eighth pick, Hayden Hurst. Ninth pick, I got Christian Kirk. 10th, I got Henry Ruggs III. The 11th pick, I got Buffalo defense, and 12th pick, I got Chris Thompson. And I think I'm just going to stop there because everyone else is, is like second tier players and backups and so on. But my first two picks, Saquon Barkley, first pick, that's a no-brainer. Second pick, I got Kenny Golladay. I heard some great things about him. Obviously, I've had him on at least one of my teams the past couple years, and he's done really good, or he's done really well. And looks like this year he might have another great season. Probably over 1,000 yards receiving, maybe probably at least 8 touchdowns. All the elite receivers were already gone. So Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, and all that. So, I said, screw it. I'm going to go with a wide receiver. He's still on the board. I'll take him. I guess Lamar Jackson was on the board as well during that second pick, which I could have gotten, and Mike Evans. But I went with Kenny Golladay because he gets a lot of targets, he gets a lot of yards, and I don't usually draft a quarterback that early, although I do remember Lamar Jackson destroying everyone, getting a ton of 20-plus fantasy points every single game last season. So maybe, if I drafted Lamar Jackson, it could have worked out. But, I went with Kenny Golladay. I'm trying to get those PPR points. And third pick, I was really surprised because I somehow ended up with Aaron Jones. And usually the first couple rounds, everyone drafts a really solid running back. So I was pleasantly surprised that I had Aaron Jones. So I took him. I usually love going running back, and then wide receiver. But in this case, I was able to get, solid running back, solid wide receiver, and another good running back. I saw a lot of people drafting Jonathan Taylor really early. And, I knew that Marlon Mack was still on the Colts, and he did pretty decently. He's done pretty decently the last couple of seasons. So, and it turns out, I guess, Jonathan Taylor is there to make Marlon Mack work harder, because I think maybe Marlon Mack's going to be the starter and they're both going to split carries. So, I guess that sucks for people drafting Jonathan Taylor that high. And, there was also, in the third round, there was also I could have drafted James Conner. I could have drafted Chris Carson. James Conner, he had that one a really good year. He's a versatile running back, but he gets injured a lot. So I was really hesitant on picking him. Chris Carson, he does really well. So I guess, he had a great season last year. I guess I could have gone with him too. But Aaron Jones, I had him last season. He had a boatload of touchdowns. Probably not as, I think he had 16 or 19 total touchdowns or something like that. So he's probably going to regress a little bit, but hopefully he'll remain productive. I mean, I think the big thing that's holding back Aaron Jones is actually the freaking coaches. Because I remember last year, the Packers would always get to the red zone and Aaron Jones is on fire, but they're like, oh no, you're in the red zone. Let's just decide to pass it and not score any touchdowns, but we could have given it to Aaron Jones. So really frustrating. Hopefully this year they learn their lesson and, give Aaron Jones the damn ball. So my fourth pick, I went with, let's see here, DJ Chark Jr. And originally, when I first drafted him, I was like, yeah, this is a great idea. But then I started doubting and hesitating after I drafted him because Le'Veon Bell was still on the board, Keenan Allen, Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and so on. And I was going off DJ Chark because he gets a lot of targets and he's basically Jacksonville's only number one receiver. Like he's gonna be the guy because literally that team is like lost everyone, like lost Leonard Fournette, and they're not gonna go anywhere. So hopefully he's gonna get a mammoth target share and just hog the ball. But maybe I could have went with Le'Veon Bell because Le'Veon Bell is a very versatile running back. He catches the ball, he rushes. So in a PPR league, that's that's what you want out of your running back. You want a dual threat. That's why I like Austin Eckler is so good for PPR, or like Saquon Barkley, or these guys, or like a Christian McCaffrey. These guys, they catch the ball out of the backfield. They're like they do the check down routes and all of that. So I could have gone with Le'Veon Bell. Maybe I should have, but oh well. Fifth pick, I went with Robert Woods. Heard great things about him. I think apparently last year he did really well when they went with 2 tight ends. And I think he got like 1,000 yards, or like really close to 1,000 yards receiving. So hopefully he'll be just as productive this year. DK Metcalf was also very attractive. I could have went with him, but DK Metcalf is he's like ridiculously big and super fast and athletic. So I think he's going to go off this year too. So, maybe I could have went with him, but I went with Robert Woods because, Los Angeles passes a lot. So hopefully a lot of balls get thrown his way. In the 5th round, Zach Ertz was open as well. I didn't go with him because, I read that he hasn't been, I think he was really good like 2 years ago. I think last year he declined a bit. So, I just, I tried to avoid him and tried to go for another wide receiver because I felt like I needed to strengthen up that wide receiver core. Going with the 6th pick, here's where I think I bungled it. I think I panicked. I saw that James White was on the board. I remember he did really well last year in PPR leagues. So I nabbed him, and after that I was like, James White in the 6th round? No, no one's going to pick him up. Why did I pick him up so soon? So I definitely could have gone with like a Tyler Boyd, who was still on the board, a Will Fuller, Jarvis Landry, a J.K. Dobbins, Marvin Jones Jr. These guys are pretty solid players. So I probably screwed up that pick. And my 7th round, I also screwed up as well because I saw that Carson Wentz was on the board, and I'm a big fan of dual threat quarterbacks, and Carson Wentz can throw and run. So, I kind of panicked and I was like, oh my God, he's still on the board. I have to get him. But, like I said, there are other players on there too. So I probably screwed up 2 rounds, but could have probably had a better bench if I didn't pick a QB or James White, that early. Let's see. On the 8th round, I finally got my tight end, Hayden Hurst. I was actually originally looking for Austin Hooper. And because I was I was under the impression that the NFL wasn't even going to happen this year because of COVID-19. Like, I barely did any research, and I didn't even know that Austin Hooper went to the Cleveland Browns. So I was like, oh my God, I start panicking, and I ended up drafting Hayden Hurst, which, I think it's going to work out because Atlanta, they're always going to put up points. Matt Ryan's always going to throw the ball. Austin Hooper was a beast last year, so hopefully they utilize Hayden Hurst in a similar fashion as they did, Austin Hooper, and they'll pass him the ball, and hopefully he can score some touchdowns. Hayden Hurst played in Baltimore. Obviously, they have Mark Andrews. I think they had like 3 tight ends, like talented tight ends last year. So Hayden Hurst hopefully gives me them big bucks. Round 9, I got Christian Kirk, which I think, my I could have gone with like a CD Lamb, um, a San Francisco defense even, or a Noah Fant or a Debo Samuel. So I think I bungled that pick a bit, but it's getting to the later rounds. These are guys that are just kind of going to sit on your bench, and you're going to plug and play them maybe like in for 1 or 2 weeks. So maybe it's not that big of a loss. Mm, yeah, I think that's kind of all I wanted to cover. I was able to get Buffalo defense, and I think Buffalo did really well last year in terms of defense. Um, I think in a couple leagues I ended up having New England defense the last year, and that was great because New England was just dunking on everyone. It was fabulous. But this year I have Buffalo defense in this league, and hopefully it's all going to work out. Let's see. I got Ryan Tannehill as my backup. Ryan Tannehill was a freaking beast last year when he became the starting QB of the Tennessee Titans. I have him on the bench. Hopefully he chucks the ball around, gets that a really high passer rating, and maybe he'll be a starter for my team. But we'll see what happens. I like him as a backup. I trust him more than like other like low tier QBs like Baker Mayfield or like Danny Dimes or like Phillip Rivers or something. So hopefully it goes really smoothly. I plan to start. See, well, Kenny Galladay is freaking injured right now, but my typical starting lineup would probably be something like Carson Wentz, DJ Chark, Robert Woods, Kenny Galladay, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones, tight end Hayden Hurst. And for my flexes, I'm probably going to do something like maybe James White, because he still gets like he's not a starter, but he's a passing down back for New England. And I'm thinking like, okay, they have Cam Newton this year. Maybe he's not like gonna pass as much like as a Brady or something, or maybe they're gonna run a lot. And so, but when they do pass, maybe he's gonna check down to James White, and James White's gonna get all those carries and a couple carries here and there, but get those receptions. So maybe he's gonna do well. And I'll probably use like Henry Ruggs the third. I think they're putting him in the slot, so maybe he's going to get some receptions here and there. Chris Thompson, always a good receiving threat out of the backfield as a running back, so that could work out. And I recently picked up Kendrick Bourne. Apparently Debo Samuel went on the IR, so maybe Kendrick Bourne can step it up. He's a really fast player, so hopefully he can be utilized more in the passing game for San Francisco. So hopefully this all works out. But shifting gears to my other money league team, this is through my friends league, my high school friends league that we have every year for like the past like 10 years. So my starting team or my starting lineup for this team is QB. Or actually, this is more of a standard conventional. Oh no, it's not actually. There is a 1 quarterback, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 1 tight end plus kicker and defender. So I think it's also a PPR league, and my starting lineup, where I guess my team is just QB Carson Wentz, wide receivers Devontae Adams, AJ Brown, Robert Woods. Running backs, I got Joe Mixon, Raheem Mostert, tight end Austin Hooper, and my bench is Kenny Galladay, David Montgomery, James White. Again, I got Sony Michel, backup QB Matthew Stafford, and I also got James Washington from Pittsburgh. My kicker is Joey Sly, and my defense is New England. So I think I have a strong group of receivers. I have obviously Devontae Adams, great player, gets a ton of targets. Hopefully Aaron Rodgers can just feed him the ball this year. AJ Brown emerged as a great receiver last year. Hopefully he does really well. Robert Woods again. I'm butchering his name. Robert Woods. again, he's on my team again, gets those receptions and yardage. I don't know about Joe. See, I first picked Joe Mixon, and I think I had Joe Mixon last year in another league, and I think Cincinnati was just horrible. So Joe Mixon, I think his end of the year stats looked pretty good last year, but as I recall, like when I played him, he like didn't do anything, and having anyone on Cincinnati was just brutal because they were just so bad. And I picked up Raheem Mostert. That was San Francisco. They got a lot of running backs. They shipped off Matt Breida, and I think Jerick McKinnon is still injured. I don't know. I could be wrong, but looks like it's going to be like a Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman. I think Jeff Wilson is still on the team, but obviously these guys are all talented, so they're probably going to do like a running back by committee. But Raheem Mostert's going to get the start, and he was a beast last year because really fast, explosive, strong running back. So hopefully he gets those touches and gets those touchdowns. I'm feeling pretty optimistic about him. Austin Hooper, I like how I tried to get Austin Hooper in my other team, but here he is in Cleveland. So hopefully, I don't trust anything. Like I don't trust anybody in Cleveland other than Nick Chubb. So hopefully, they utilize Austin Hooper effectively. He got a lot of touchdowns and touchdowns, receptions, yards last year. It was great. Hopefully, he gets utilized effectively. David Montgomery, the running back for the Chicago Bears. He was really like, no one really picked him up early. And apparently, he's a starting running back. So maybe he's a sleeper pick, you want starters on your team, especially starting running backs. So he was a good little stash that I put on my bench. James White, once again, PPR league, hopefully he gets those receptions. I think here's the good bargain bin pick, Sonny Michel. So Sonny Michel, I watched him play last year. He's very unremarkable, just not particularly explosive, not super fast. He's not going to like truck anyone or like just destroy people like Marshawn Lynch or whatever. So he's just very, 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 very average. But, I think if you keep him around hidden on your bench, maybe he's gonna do decently if you're either a flex or you need someone to plug it into one of your running back positions. And apparently he was going to split time with Damian Harris this year, but Damian Harris got hurt. So hopefully, Sonny Michel gets those touches. And hopefully he's going to come through. So I like how I have James White and Sonny Michel on my team. So, but yeah, that's basically my team. Joey Sly, he did pretty decently last year as a kicker. I think the first half of the season he was making a lot of field goals or something like that. And New England defense, I was fortunate enough to pick them up again. They went off last year. Hopefully they repeat that. So now let's go over to the draft. I felt pretty good I felt decently about my draft. Let's see. What did I get? I got a B for my draft report card. And I think the first team that I went over, I got an A-. I don't super trust the draft grades because I feel like if you have a really poor draft grade, you're probably going to lose. You're probably not going to do well. But even if you have a great draft grade on Yahoo, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to do super well. You can still end up mid-tier. So it feels good that you have a high draft grade, but I guess it doesn't really translate into success. Unless you're rated really poorly, then it's probably correlated to your success level if you've rated poorly. But let's go to our draft results. And Let's see. So first pick, like I said, Joe Mixon. I'm so friggin' mad because in like all my leagues, I was unable to get like a Derrick Henry or like a I wanted freaking Derrick Henry because last year I had freaking Derrick Henry and that guy was just dunking on noobs left and right and it was just glorious. So I wanted freaking Derrick Henry. If I, obviously if I didn't get a Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey, I wanted freaking Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook. I think I only got Dalvin Cook in like one league, but I wasn't able to get freaking Derrick Henry. So I could have went with Nick Chubb, but I know that Cleveland has Kareem Hunt. Maybe that probably would take, that would probably eat into Nick Chubb's carries because when Nick Chubb gets the ball, he's just ridiculously good. He's explosive, he's powerful, and he's just a friggin' monster. So I went with Joe Mixon because I think he's a more versatile player, and you want those kind of players in the PPR league. So, I was looking into some analysis, and they were touting Joe Mixon. Although personally, I don't trust him, but I'm going to go with the analysts, the fantasy analysts, and that's why I ended up picking him first. Don't like the pick, but whatever. And again, Davante Adams, second pick. Let's see, could have maybe went with like a Josh Jacobs or something. Josh Jacobs or Austin Eckler. So here's the Austin Eckler. Here's the Austin Eckler like dilemma. He's really good. I had him last year. He was a monster, but apparently this year they're going to go with more like a committee style offense. So we don't know, and when you have when you have an organization that they say that they're going to make every running back like an integral part of the offense, it's hard to trust. But I guess I could have went with someone like an Austin Eckler or like a James Conner, Josh Jacobs, but I went with Davante Adams. Maybe I could have went with Julio Jones because that guy was still on the board. Maybe I should have went with Julio Jones. That guy gets a lot of yards every freaking game. So, but I had Davante Adams last year. He did well. I guess we're just picking them off last year's performance. But second pick, Davante Adams. Let's go to the third pick. Third pick, I want Kenny Golladay again. Kenny Golladay gets the yards, gets the TDs, gets the receptions. PPR league, you want those receptions. But the people that went in the third round, it's interesting. Let's see. Todd Gurley, Jonathan Taylor, Le'Veon Bell, Mark Ingram. A lot of people were saying Allen Robinson was rated super high in fantasy drafts. So he was one of the handful of wide receivers that went first. So Allen Robinson, third round, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they all make sense. Todd Gurley, I don't really trust because he's super injured. Obviously, he's a great player if he's healthy, but third round, Todd Gurley, you're gambling that he doesn't get hurt. Then we have the Jonathan Taylor pick by another team. Mark Ingram did really well, but third round pick. I don't know. I personally wouldn't trust it. I would do like a Le'Veon Bell. If you want a running back. I originally wanted to do like a Juju Smith-Schuster, so he was picked right before I picked Kenny Golladay. Oh well. Fourth round, someone took. I took AJ Brown. I think I could have picked up a Tyler Lockett. Keenan Allen, obviously the QB situation, and shoot, I don't even know who that. Oh, what? Who's that? Who's that San Diego Chargers QB? It's a Tyrod Taylor. Let's see, Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, I think he's going to start. He is not a very good passer. He doesn't pass a lot. He's more of like a running option style. So picking up a Chargers wide receiver is definitely like picking about like Hunter Henry in the tight end spot or like a Keenan Allen. Like Keenan Allen's a great player, but you can't trust that QB situation there. So I picked AJ Brown over like Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper. I picked AJ Brown over Amari Cooper because he is more like a boom bust kind of guy. Like obviously, if he goes off, he'll get like 20 points. You know, he might get like 100 yards, touchdown, like 6 receptions. But he's more of like a, you know, he's not a very consistent player. So let's see. 5th round, here it is. I went with Raheem Mostert. That's a risk pick for me because, you know, like I said earlier, SF has a couple of different good running backs. You want Raheem. You want a bell cow running back that's going to get like 16, 17 plus touches. So hopefully Raheem Mostert can do that. You know, you want something. Take a look at like McCaffrey. Always gets the ball, or regardless if it's a pass or like a running back or like a running play. You want Saquon Barkley or Ezekiel Elliott. Those guys they're the workhorses. Raheem Mostert. You want that. You want him to be that guy this year. So I'm gambling on it. I'm going to go for it. Was there anyone else I could have picked up? Yeah, obviously Devin Singletary maybe, but no, I like the SF offense. Melvin Gordon, Melvin Gordon's kind of injury prone. He also plays for Denver. I don't know what the QB situation is like in Denver, but they're not a very strong team, or at least last year they weren't a very strong team. But you kind of don't trust that situation. David Johnson, you don't trust that either. Although he did look good. He did look very good in that. He did look very good in that Thursday night game. So, but yeah, okay. Raheem Mostert went with that. And my 6th pick. What did I do with my 6th pick? Round 6. What did I choose? Oh, Robert Woods. Here we go. See, I always kind of end up drafting similar teams, but Robert Woods, decent. I think that's a good pick for the 6th round. Could have gotten like who else could have gotten? Could have gotten like Deshaun. I guess Deshaun Watson round 6 is that good? I don't pick up QBs that generally in the first like 7 rounds, but whatever. I could have picked up a Deshaun Watson. I could have picked up a Michael Gallup, Marquise Brown. I like Robert Woods here though. No quibble. Round 7, David Montgomery. Again, good little stash. Starting running back stash. You want to load up on running backs. And even if they're not going to start for your team, you want to take them away from other members of the league. So round 7, David Montgomery. I guess, I could have went for like a AJ Green or a Marvin Jones Jr. Or like a freaking J.K. Dobbins or Jordan Howard. My good friend went with Jordan Howard, so I wouldn't screw him over like that. But round 8, James White. Here we go. I think that might be it for this team. James White, and then round 9, Austin Hooper. Kind of surprised it was still down there because it was getting thin at tight end. There was Noah Fant. Noah Fant did pretty well last year. I could have picked him up, but I'm going to go with Austin Hooper. Carson Wentz round 10. So here we go. That's where I think I would have preferably pick up my QBs in the later rounds, because I'm not a guy that picks up the elite QBs really early. Like Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, or like people like that. But here we go, round 10. Got my Carson Wentz. My friend went with Joe Burrow in round 10, right before I picked up Carson Wentz. That's quite a risky pick there. I don't know if Joe Burrow's going to be starting, but do you trust a rookie or not? I don't know. Up to you. Joe Burrow obviously did ridiculously phenomenal at LSU. Does that translate into a good NFL career? We'll see. But he has a lot of weapons in Cincinnati. So we'll see. So good luck to Ryan, the other member of the Rice Club. He's the one that picked up Joe Burrow, but good luck to him. Jared Goff was picked in round 10. I picked up Jared Goff in a couple of different leagues too. So apparently they're going to throw the ball a lot. That might work out for them. You got a couple of wide receivers picked in the 10th round as well. Deshaun Jackson, Henry Ruggs, John Brown. John Brown was really solid last year. He was a good wide receiver 3 for you, or a little flex play. Let's see. Oh yeah, got my freaking round 11 New England defense. Oh yes. Hopefully, they get all those freaking. I think they had a ton of sacked for loss, fumble recovery, TDs or something, or interceptions or something last year, which gave them astronomical numbers for a defense in fantasy. But yeah, that's basically it for this draft. Obviously, it went on for 15 rounds, but those guys, they could have. Everyone else down there is just bench players, anyways. So, how do I feel about this team? We'll see. I made it to in this particular league that I just described. I went all the way to the finals last year, but I lost. I had a ridiculously good offense last year. I just collapsed at the last game. So it's too bad. My first week, I'm playing my friend Josue, and he is a really stacked. He had a ridiculously stacked team. I'm projected to lose 128 to his 132. He has Drew Brees, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, and Marquise Brown. So DK Metcalf and DJ Moore, these guys are they could go off. So I could be screwed. Ezekiel Elliott, always a good player. He's going to get you those fantasy points. Aaron Jones, he could go off. Darren Waller, good tight end for Oakland. Or now it's not. See, I'm just living in the past. It's no longer Oakland. It's Las Vegas Raiders. Oh boy. He has Pittsburgh defense and Greg Zerloin. Okay, so I obviously don't have. See, how the hell did this guy get Ezekiel Elliott and a freaking Aaron Jones? That's crazy. And that's crazy. My running backs aren't as good. I have Joe Mixon and Raheem Mostert. They're gonna do all right, but definitely, I don't know. I think I have a middle of the road team, middle to above average. So I think my strengths are gonna be my wide receivers. I don't know. Fantasy is tough. There's some days where you're just blow the opposition out of the water, and some days your guys just underperform. So it's very, very hard. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. So those are my 2 money leagues. For all those fantasy players out there, good luck tomorrow. Hope your team does well. And you have an excellent night.